So what if I told you one of the best psychedelic groups from the San Francisco scene included members that would later go on to Steve Miller Band and Journey? Let's find out in the Acid Archive Diaries.
I was born in a world I couldn't see. Shadowed lies confronted me in a world going down. I was raised with a dream I couldn't share. People asked me if I dare. Watch my smoke.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Psychedelic here. Welcome to another Acid Archive Diaries, and today we're looking at I guess you could consider this like an archival compilation release, because back in their heyday, they only released an EP back in 1968, and this is considered, for me at least, one of my all-time favorite records ever. I even included it in my top 25 all-time 5-star records that I own, and I think it still holds up. And today we're talking about Frumious Bandersnatch. You're probably thinking to yourself, who the hell are these guys? Like, where does that name come from? Because I was thinking the same thing when I first heard about them. Apparently it was taken from a Lewis Carroll poem called Jabberwocky. And that was like a poem featured in Alice Through the Looking Glass, or one of those novels back in the day. And, you know, it's kind of like a concoction of different words thrown together, and Frumious Bandersnatch kind of stuck with the group and they kind of ran with it. And the group didn't last very long. I think they just kind of formed in like 67 and then started to fade out nearly at the end of the decade in 69. And this is considered, like I said, kind of a compilation of tracks, and I would say some of their best tracks. There's only 6 cuts on here, and this is titled Golden Sons of Libra, and in parentheses, the studio outtakes. And they also do have one other compilation released back in the 90s. I think it was only on CD. I forget the title of that, but it's like a purple image with the band image on it. And it's got like most of their tracks on there. I think it's like 15 different cuts on there. So considering they only released an EP back in 68, there's only 3 tracks on it. A couple of those tracks make their way here, but they're alternate versions ever so slightly. Those tracks are Hearts to Cry and Cheshire. Hearts to Cry being an alternate version, it claims, and then Cheshire is the full-length version. I didn't really notice any difference on Cheshire other than that maybe it's like a minute longer. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I think they were trying to get record deals at the time with Capitol and MGM, it claims in the liner notes, but I think the thing was that some of the labels execs at the time weren't really looking for, you know, sort of more jam band kind of material, which this band definitely kind of fits in that category, considering how lengthy some of their tracks can be. And I think they were just kind of looking for more like a pop sensibility in these guys, which they weren't really about when you listen to them. So look at that amazing cover art. So that's actually taken from the original EP. To get us started here, before we start running through the tracks, let's read the hype sticker here. So this is actually still in the original shrink here. I got this on eBay for like 40 bucks on a bid, by the way, which is kind of a deal right now. So it says, if any one group can legitimately qualify as the Great Lost Psychedelic Band, then Frumious Bandersnatch are that group, and the subsequent fortunes of its members in groups like the Steve Miller Band and Journey have added only to their legend. Frumious Bandersnatch were part of the second wave of the 60s San Francisco Renaissance, a rock renaissance. But unfortunately, the Bandersnatch only managed to release a 3-track EP before dissolving in 69. This album of studio outtakes, recorded in 68, sheds new light on the band's short life together and includes 3 previously unreleased tracks. And it's on purple vinyl. It's the only That's the only, there is no black vinyl for it, so it's kind of interesting. I'll show the label here too. I think it is a replica of the original label as well. So Muggles Gramophone Works. This is a Get Back pressing. So nice purple vinyl here. And it's not focusing, imagine that. So yeah, what do we say about this? So it does have a lot of connections to some of the bands, like it says, Steve Miller Band, Journey. It has one member that will later go on to Journey, the bass player, Ross Valerie, who I think stuck with Journey during their heyday, like 73 to like the mid 80s around there. And you got Jack King, who famously played on, you know, tracks like Steve Miller Band's The Joker. He's the drummer on this one as well. And I think, who are the other members? Jimmy Warner and Bobby Winkleman. I think they were both part of Steve Miller during different phases of the group, because I think they did go through some lineup changes. So yeah, it says all tracks recorded in '68, and yeah, I do believe that this Get Back pressing came out in 2003, around there, so over 20 years ago now. It'd be nice if Gearson picked this up, or someone, you know. It'd be a great release, I would imagine. So it came with this sleeve insert, very small, tiny print from each member, kind of reflecting back on the memories. Got a little introduction there, talking about them a little bit, and then just more on the back. One of their cards they were lending out at the time. And these guys played with everybody, man. I think I saved some concert bills I was gonna insert in the video, so I'll try to make sure I cover those. Let's start off with the first track here, Hearts to Cry. It claims it's the alternate version, and I wasn't sure for the longest time, because I'm so used to this version listening to it, but I re-listened to the original mix on that EP, and yeah, they are ever so slightly different. It's got all the same structures, pretty much all the same different vocal styling and guitar passages, but you could almost never tell. I mean, these guys are so loose and tight at the same time. Like, they know when to hit their cues, but at the same time they're playing very loosely. But I was really surprised to hear the difference between the two tracks. I mean, it's not a whole lot of difference, but it goes to show how skillful these guys were in trying to aim for those different passages, and nailing all the different cues. You know, when the guitar solos would come into play and then fade out, intensity, you know, rising between the beginning and the outro. It's just really good track. If I had to compare the band to any of the contemporaries at the time, I would say, you know, they definitely remind me of Moby Grape or Quicksilver Messenger Service, what they were doing at the time, only the dials turned up to like 11. A lot more amplified, a lot more electric, and the intensity, you know, is just really riled up, like almost like they're playing at the, Fillmore East, Fillmore West, or the Golden Gate Park concerts that they would advertise at the time. The guitar playing style too, it's very Cipollina, you know, with the sustain on the guitar, very twangy. Gary Quackenbush maybe comes to mind, SRC. It's sort of in that style, very electric, and the sustain on that guitar, it's just sticks with you. It's very West Coast. So then it kind of leads into the next track, Chain Reaction, and then Pulpit Hue. Those are two of the tracks that were previously unreleased at the time. And they're probably not maybe the stronger cuts, but they're definitely a little break from what will later come on the album as, you know, sort of more extended jams happening. And then that leads us into Cheshire, which is probably one of the more famous tracks they're known for. It's about an 8-9 minute jam, and I think one of the band members claimed that he would have liked to seen the track kind of grow into this sort of suite in the way that it kind of goes through these different phases. You got the fuzz breaks, you got the harmonic hooks happening in the middle section, and then just to kind of do this kind of bluesy shuffle near the end. It has this kind of boogie flavor, but in a good way. I don't want boogie rock to sound bad, you know, concerning this band.
And you know if you're feeling like that, take a tip from the Cheshire Cat. Take day, while the smile quickly fades away.
But then you got, side 2 rolling around. You got a track called Woodro Syrup, which some people claim that might be their best work as well. And again, probably another 9-minute track. I featured that on one of my psychedelic trips, which I'll probably include some footage of that. And then that was also written by Jack King. Jack King actually did a lot of the writing of these songs. Again, very, very bright vocals happening, very pronounced. Pretty good mixing job. I also wanted to mention too, considering the way my ears are kind of trained, the way I hear audio anymore, there is something I did pick up on over the years that is a little irritating when I listen to the whole mix. It seems to be affected with almost every track, and you could hear in the beginning of Pulpit Hue very clearly. There seems to be this kind of hiss frequency noise that's not canceled out. I don't know if that has anything to do with the way a mix was produced back then or what the tape was cut on, if it was something cheap. But it doesn't bother me too much, but I hear it every time. It's kind of the same frequency. It's just sticking out right there. And then we end on a track called Cannabis. I wonder what they're talking about. It's about a 15-minute track. Claims it's the full-length version. And it is one of those jammy tracks, very much in the kind of Grateful Dead-esque, shuffle that they kind of do. Kind of reminds me of that shuffle on like a song called like Truckin'. Has that kind of rhythm to it, but only a little more up-tempo, more rocking. It does have a drum solo as well, which doesn't get too irritating. It's actually very well curated. And it's nothing like, say, the Yellow Pages I'm a Man version, which is one of the lamest drum solos I've heard, or that one on the Peeling of Tangerine record, that last track. And Jack King, he does a great, he lets you know, he shows off his skills on that track. And I think the drum solo might go on for about 5 minutes or so. It's pretty lengthy, but again, very digestible. It's something I can handle. I'm not too big on drum solos, but that one's pretty tasteful. The big takeaway for this band for me, if I had to say anything else more about this group, it's kind of like, just listen for yourself. This is one of the best examples, has all those characteristics we look for in those sort of West Coast, especially San Francisco, acid fried, smelly hippie kind of realm, man. This has got it all. And yeah, it's just kind of interesting, the connections to Steve Miller and Journey. I forget which member it is, but he was also in the band Fawn. It's kind of a smaller label, one and done kind of record. I'm not too big on it, but I just remember that connection. I think it's time to look into the Acid Archives, see what they have to say. I think I glanced at it. And yeah, like I said too, I'll be sharing some of the concert bills that they played with some other bands around the area. Got a little short little entry here, and it says, legendary Bay Area outfit that should need no introduction. The rare 1968 EP is the only thing they released during their original era, but both these retrospective releases contain excellent unreleased material, perhaps the Libra album most of all. The band captures the hard-edged side of the San Francisco ballroom acid guitar jam better than almost anybody, and weren't afraid to write complex songs. Still, the 3-track EP bootlegged in the 1980s remains their crowning achievement and can be found on Big Beat's outstanding CD sampler, the Berkeley EPs. There are also several live tapes in existence, so more Frumious things may be to come. And it says here, A Young Man's Song. That's the CD I was talking about on this Big Beat CD that came out in the UK. And then at the time, it claims 2002, the Get Back purple vinyl. And I couldn't agree more. Acid guitar, jam band. Again, don't let the tags scare you off, when I say Grateful Dead, because I know sometimes, I'm not a Deadhead myself, but I love the nuances that those bands sort of had around that time. Not so much the rural sound, but sort of that twang to that guitar that they do, that sustaining guitar vibrato that they use. It really sticks out on this one for sure. So you look at the mushrooms, the guys there on their Oldsmobile, 180 gram vinyl. Yeah, I think this one's gotten pricey as well. I mean, I think it's pretty limited to like, I don't know, 500,000 copies around there. Definitely needs a repress. And yeah, check them out yourself so I won't spoil the surprises. Listen to it for yourself and let me know what you think. Yeah, I had to postpone the Ghostwriters concept that I was going to do for this time around. I was going to shoot for that, but I need to tweak a few things as far as the notes that I've been taking and kind of rehearsing for it. So there's that, and then I'll probably do a vinyl update next. I think I'm ready to do that as I've been kind of posting a little more on Instagram lately, and that ought to do it. So if you haven't made a video before, Acid Archive Diaries, you have the book. It's a good gateway to get yourself acquainted with fellow record collectors and spreading some knowledge, spreading the news, spread the good word, because that's what we're here to do. So on that note, take care, and we'll see you soon. And this is one of the most forgotten groups of that era, and I think they just nailed the sound. Frumious Bandersnatch. You know, people always talk about Jefferson Airplane, Grateful Dead, Quicksilver Messenger Service. I mean, this band is right in